Greetings, friends. I trust you're doing well. I trust you're keeping safe. Thank you so much for joining me today in yet another episode. If you have not subscribed, I invite you to subscribe and join this family. It's free. Just click on that subscribe button. In today's episode, I'm talking about pressures. Now, life is full of pressures, and I know you can relate. There are times when there are tensions, from all fronts: home, work, family, friends. We have to make decisions. So, we are bound to face situations that are full of pressure, and we have to make choices a lot of times. So, today I just wanted to reflect on what are some of these situations that cause us pressures, and I want to focus on values or conflict in our values compared to other people. So we are really different. And as human beings, we have values that guide us in terms of how we lead our lives. And my values are different from yours. And it's a good thing if you find people who you have shared values. So, one source of conflict, when I was just reflecting about some of the pressures that I also experience, is when I encounter, for example, people who have different ways of doing things, and that's okay. So, for example, I value process and structure and order. This really gives me an orientation, how to do things or how I like to do my things. And then you encounter people, and I imagine you have, who really, it doesn't matter whether there's structure or process for them, as long as you get to the end goal. And this can create some tension when you have people who prefer to work, anyhowly, as long as they get to the result. While on the other hand, you have someone like me who values structure and process and order. Yeah. So if this source of tension is not addressed, then it can cause you a lot of pressure. Something else for me, for example, I value my space and I value my time. So if you're that kind of a person who values that time alone and just your own space, and you have people who have, can I say, they have total disregard, of your space and boundaries, and they walk in your space anyhowly, they do whatever they want, this can really cause a lot of pressure on you. And I find that sometimes this is why it causes pressure. It's especially because sometimes you find it difficult to communicate, or you find it difficult to tell someone no. If it's in your office space or even at home, and someone has just walked in. Sometimes it's so hard to just tell someone, please, I need my space. Could you just go away? Could you just give me that time? So because we find it difficult to communicate that, so you end up internalizing a lot of pressure, and this is not good for you. Something else that I find is a source of pressure is that some people are good planners. Before you embark on something, whether it's an event or an activity or any task, they like to plan beforehand. And I want to really just appreciate that, we don't always have everything under control. But for someone like me, and maybe for others who are like me, we like to be able to at least the best we can plan, when we go to a certain place, how will things go? Can we have a structure? Can we plan beforehand? But some people are really free spirit, and, they just go with the flow. We will decide when we get there. So if you're surrounded with people who have this kind of way of doing things, and you are the kind who likes to be able to plan beforehand, it can cause a lot of pressure. And why am I spending so much time today also talking about this? Is because I realize sometimes some of the pressures we experience in our lives, especially as a result of, different values that we have, is because we don't communicate and we internalize so much. It ends up eating you, it bothers you a lot, and sometimes it even causes a strain in relationships just because we don't have that courage to communicate. And when I was also reflecting about this topic about pressures, and once again, life is full of pressures, But then again, I know there are people who just have total disregard, about how other people feel. Some people just simply don't care. And so they will do whatever they want, regardless of, what you think or, how that makes you feel. Sometimes it's also as a result of socialization. We come from different backgrounds, and our upbringing also just has a way of influencing how we relate with other people. And sometimes, maybe knowingly or unknowingly, we don't realize that we are really putting so much pressure on other people, but just by the way we are carrying ourselves. And I'm sorry to say, but I also think some people's emotional intelligence is just very low. And so they have total disregard, how does this make the other person feel? How am I impacting on the other person? And I think part of good socialization or social skills is just to be able to work on your emotional intelligence and just ask yourself, what is happening around you? Can you just observe and see how your actions also impact on other people? Now, how can we deal with these pressures as a result of, difference in values? I think one, just accept that we are really different. Sometimes it really helps when you find that source of tension and you're getting a lot of pressure, external pressure, from people. Just remind yourself, breathe, and remind yourself that, what, hey, we are very different to start off. So just accept. That's a good first step. Secondly, stop trying to change everybody. I think I have tried this and it's something I'm still working on, especially when I'm feeling a lot of tension and pressure. Sometimes you have this tendency to think, what, I can't change them so that they do things in a structured way. But you know what? It's not possible. People are different and people will change if they want to change. So stop trying to think that, you will change people so that they start doing things your way. Mm-mm. It won't happen. Third, love and appreciate yourself. If you're this person who loves structure and process and order and so on and so forth, it's okay. Imagine just be okay with that and love yourself as you are. Then be comfortable and confident to communicate what you value. I think it's time we started getting comfortable articulating what is important for us, because when you're quiet and silent, maybe the other person doesn't know, or maybe because they can guess, but if you don't communicate, and my beautiful ladies, I think it's time for us to just start communicating what is of value for you, what is important to you. Communicate this to your friends, to your family, let them know. So that at least the next time someone is, breaking your boundary, or the next time someone is putting a lot of pressure on you to do things a certain way, then they know how you work, they know what is important for you as well. And then remember, you cannot please everybody. Yeah. So do your thing. Sometimes it's okay to just do your own thing your own way. You cannot get everybody to like your way. I mean, probably you also don't like their way, and you cannot force them to do things the way you want, and they cannot always force you to do things the way you want. So always just have at the back of your mind, you cannot please everybody. Then just communicate your expectations. When you have an opportunity and you foresee a possible tension or conflict, I think it's important to just communicate. What do you expect at the end of it all? If you're planning for an event, just communicate for you what is important, lay it out there. And finally, but not the least, when you're dealing with people, I think we all need wisdom. So I will tell you, just pray and ask God to give you wisdom. Because sometimes when it comes to values and how you can balance that, because we have different values, everyone has their way of doing things. It's not always black and white. Whether it's at the workspace, whether it's at the family front, it's not always black and white. And I can just tell you to pray that God gives you wisdom so that you know how to communicate and coexist. And hopefully, you don't have to live every day feeling pressured to do things you don't want to do, or feeling pressured that you have to, lean in and bend your values and so on and so forth. So thank you so much for joining me again today. As we go out there and we are facing life, which is full of pressures, I hope you find the courage to navigate that, to communicate what you need, and that you can also find space to accommodate others as well. I hope that this day for you is not going to have too much pressure, but that you'll be able to find a balance. I wish you a beautiful day. Take care, and God bless you.